Good morning. Really excited to be here with you because I've been here for a year and this is my second time doing the 9:30 Mass. So a little nervous, but I'll be fine, I guess. Tell me afterwards. Our feast for today, the Transfiguration of Christ, it's so powerful that Christ shone in a vision of light. I want you to think about this. This is a miracle that happened to Jesus himself. Because we are used to hearing and seeing that miracles happen to other people, that Jesus is the cause. But today, the Transfiguration happened in Jesus himself, that he is capable of miracle beyond anything that you can explain. When I was in the seminary, we have this topic, the Transfiguration, and it's always for us seminarians during that time when we have an exam, and the professor will ask, can you explain what Transfiguration is? And we always say, it's a mystery. Don't ask any questions after this. And it helped me to think about this. In our mind, every vision of Christ is a mystery, but every experience of Christ is very human. I want you to think about this also. There are more characters than Jesus in the Transfiguration. We heard this. He took the apostles, his closest friends. I call them the super friends of Jesus. And then you heard also at the middle of the story, there's the Old Testament who appeared, Elijah and Moses. And at the end of the story, it happened also, they went down the mountain. The image that's been used here is the mountain in the scriptures. When we say the mountains, it talks about heaven. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to think about besides the characters. Light. Light, in the Old Testament and New Testament, the image is also heaven. With Moses. When Moses was coming down the mountain, giving the 10 Commandments, his face changed. Bright light. Elijah, we don't know much about this person. He was in a chariot, a fiery chariot. So it's fire, it's light. So what is the gospel writer telling us with this experience of Transfiguration? Transfiguration is about transformation. When you experience change in your life, it's a transformative experience. It's a bright light in your head telling, do it. Or it's a bright light in your head saying, don't do it. It is an experience of God. This past month, I had a privilege, an opportunity to travel and visit some friends in Europe, particularly in Germany. So I was visiting this family, and one thing I noticed in Europe, in Germany, when they travel, they buy bicycles. In America, I see bikes on the store, on the shirt, and that's it. And for me, I never rode bicycles for a long time. I think it's over 10 years. And guess what? My German friends are taller and bigger than me. Their children is the same, bigger and taller than me. And then, how are you going to travel to the city? And the kid said, let's go ride a bike. The problem is, I'm Filipino. Short, dark, and handsome. See, I made you laugh. I love it. It's an experience for me. It's a new, well, I rode a bike before. The problem is, as I said, I'm short. They need to find a kid's bike for me. And the kids around me was just like, they're all laughing and said, oh, Marlon, it's crazy. You're like a kid, like a 5-year-old kid. And their kids is like 13 and 12. And they rode a bike faster than me. Well, I said, you have big legs and longer legs. What do you expect? And one day, I was going to their grandparents' house. Well, I had a little boo-boo. I hit the patch, and then I fell down. And guess what? These two kids ran towards me and said, "Can we help you?" It helped me to think this very, very much so, that whatever age you are, if you see something wrong, you will do what is right. There is a light in their head saying, "I have to do what is right." I wasn't hurt. I'm fine. I'm still Filipino, dark and handsome. But it helped me to think this: wherever you go, whoever you meet, if there is something wrong, if your moral sense is correct, you have to do what is right. But yeah, it's so funny. I was riding a kid's bike, but that's what life is. You adjust to what life is giving you. And that's what happened in the Transfiguration with these apostles. They're just getting comfortable with Jesus being Jesus, doing miracles, and all of a sudden, up in the mountain, he changed his vision, a transfigured man. No wonder their experience of Christ during that time says, "Do not be afraid." Or they were afraid, but Jesus assured them, "Do not be afraid." And guess what? Jesus did not use his words only. Jesus touched them. And for us today, I'm thinking about this, for all of us sitting in the pews, listening, praying together. Christ in the scripture is changing the apostles' memory to create a new memory, even how difficult it is. For us today, we get stuck with our lives, with our work, and with everything we do. Are you ready to experience Christ in a different way? If not, pray for it, because God will say, "Do not be afraid," and that Christ touched you in any way possible. By hands, by heart, by minds, that Christ touch you and say, "Do not be afraid." And lastly, what I want you to think about is this. With Christ's encounter with the apostles, with Christ's experience or encounter with the prophets in the Old Testament, train our heart, our minds, our soul, that God and Christ is willing to be with us every single day, even though we don't see it. If you have a flashlight or use your iPhone, put in your vision, you get blinded. Put it away for a second and you will see it clearly. Sometimes light can be blinding, but most of the time light gives us guide. For us, whatever we need, or whatever your needs at the moment, whatever prayer you want to ask, today is the Feast of the Transfiguration. Let your desires transform us or transform you to be the people who is loving, kind, funny, and caring person. And may God bless us all. And good morning.